So guys, in this video I will be explaining Red Death's speedster powers and abilities because Red Death's speed is quite different to what we normally have on speedsters on the show. So I'll be explaining it all, talk about the new powers and abilities she has, and most importantly, how different her speedster abilities are compared to that of the normal speedster. So if that sounds interesting, let's hop into it. Yo, what is going on guys, Flashverse here, and welcome back to another video on The Flash Season 9, and in this video I will be explaining Red Death's speedster powers and abilities on The Flash Season 9. So obviously in The Flash Season 9 we got introduced to a brand new speedster that we've never seen before. This character has been teased in previous seasons, but we finally got to see the character itself as our main villain for the first half of the season, that of course being Red Death, who's been a highly requested speedster to see on the show. However, obviously there's a big twist with the character, and that is not only is Red Death's identity completely different to that of the comics, but also her whole storyline and whole speedster abilities are changed up as well. This is pretty normal, as we've seen this happen multiple times on the show where like a character's powers are different, or they added new abilities and various things like that. One of which, as I said, it involves Red Death as well. So we had to confirm last episode, and from the time I'm recording this video, that is Season 9 Episode 4, Red Death is not the negative Speed Force avatar, meaning all these negative emotions, rage, and lust for revenge doesn't come from manipulation or corruption from the negative Speed Force. This is a personal motivation in which in the episode we found out not only is the Flash evil from her timeline, but she accidentally killed Iris during a battle with the Flash as well. Now, while she tried to connect to the Speed Force, she got thrown out of it and pretty much ended up in another timeline, and that is our timeline, our Earth Prime timeline that we follow on the show. She wants to build a cosmic treadmill so that she can go back to her timeline and get revenge against her own version of the Flash. Now, during the episode, we did find out that the way she became a speedster was that she studied the Flash's abilities and created her own artificial source of energy, in which we also found out that the reason she can't go back to her own timeline is because her speed is artificial, not organic. But what does this mean? This, of course, is very different to other speedsters we've seen on the show. So there are multiple types of speedsters we've had on the show. Now, the first thing being, and this is the most common one, organic speedsters, either connecting to the Speed Force or the negative Speed Force. The most common uses are the Flash and the Reverse Flash, for example. And the other source of speed is that of artificially boosting their speed or temporarily giving themselves access to the Speed Force using a velocity drug, whether that be Velocity 9, Velocity X, or Velocity 6, which we've seen on the show. And finally, the last option is artificial speedsters, and it goes by the name. They're not real speedsters, they're artificial speedsters. And this is where Red Death fits in. Red Death is an artificial speedster. Now, despite her being able to glow like the Reverse Flash, have red lightning, and vibrate, which are all traits of the negative Speed Force, she hasn't built a lightning oscillation chamber like that of Eobard Thawne or Mina Dawan. This is how they have access to the negative Speed Force, and that's how Eobard Thawne created the negative Speed Force. But Red Death is purely an artificial speedster. Now, I will be explaining how that differs from like the normal Speed Force and various things like that. But surprisingly enough, Red Death isn't the only speedster using artificial speed. Godspeed also uses artificial speed. Now, this doesn't mean that they are using the exact same source of energy. This just means they've managed to create a source of energy for themselves. This was very recently until Godspeed became an organic speedster during the events of The Flash Season 7, where Barry obviously speed transferred Godspeed. But what does an artificial speedster really mean? Are there like new powers and abilities, or is there like certain speedster abilities that they aren't able to do? Now, the main difference between an artificial speedster compared to others that we know as of now is that pretty much the main difference is you have the speedster abilities like normal speedsters, except one thing, you don't have access to the Speed Force. So her speed, it would pretty much be finite, if you will. Kind of like Godspeed, where at a certain point, Godspeed had to run away and recharge in the Speed Force. However, in the case of Red Death, this is completely different. She is completely unable to tap into the Speed Force, as she mentioned in the episode. When she tried to get into the Speed Force, she just automatically got thrown out. This was similar to Godspeed, however, Godspeed was only able to charge there for a certain point in time, and he had to get out. But Godspeed was also an artificial speedster. So Red Death being completely unable to tap into the Speed Force shows a weaker connection between her speedster abilities and Godspeed's abilities. Now this could mean that she could be slower, or maybe her Speed Force just doesn't allow her to enter the Speed Force. But other things such as like flash time, throwing lightning, Speed Force constructs, phasing, Red Death could still do all of those things, except with limited speed, and might have to recharge her speed in some way. Or it is also possible that, unlike Godspeed, she found a way to make her speed infinite, but still would have no connection to the Speed Force. So it could be possible that she managed to do that. However, it could also be possible that the suit that she's wearing pretty much helps her recharge her speed like that. So maybe there's like a special feature in the suit where she is able to do that, as obviously the suit, it is very advanced, so it might be able to do something where like when she's away from the suit, it's able to recharge, or like when she doesn't use her speed, the suit helps her like recharge it. I could see something like that happening as well. But other abilities that does stand out from Red Death does include the stealing speed thing that we saw in episode 3. Now over here, she was completely able to prevent Barry from being able to use his speed, which we've never seen a speedster do before. Godspeed did somewhat have this ability of such kind, where he was also able to steal speed, however at a much weaker scale, as Barry was still able to use his speed and get out of the situation. Whereas from what we saw in episode 3, it seemed like Red Death completely prevented Barry from being able to use his speed. So that is like the main difference, if you will, that you're able to spot with Red Death's speed. However, she is simply just an artificial speedster. Yes, it's completely different to Godspeed's one, but she's still an artificial speedster. She's got no connection to the Speed Force, and that's why she got thrown out of the time stream when she tried to access the Speed Force. It's because she can't go in, as there's no connection. But yeah, thanks for watching. If you guys have enjoyed the video, please give a like and subscribe. Be sure to tell me in the comment section down below what you guys think about all of this. I'm interested to see all of your thoughts towards all of this as well. And yeah, I will see you guys in my next video.